effect on the Mariners supporters. Blows his whistle. George Moncur steps up and scores! Bottom corner of the net. The goalkeeper was very close, and it's George. He lets in a low cross, and a spin turn in, and Leyton Orient are back on level terms. He'll come to James. He shoots. Oh, and a goal from Tom James. That was a volley, and that was. It's a low cross. It's an inviting cross, and it's been turned in by Theo Archibald, and he celebrates in front of the travelling faithful.
Good evening and welcome to Orient Live. The O's are facing Newport this evening, but before we go any further, the club are extremely devastated to hear of the passing of club legend John Jackson. John Jackson passed away earlier today, and he was widely regarded to be Orient's greatest ever goalkeeper, making 226 appearances for the club. We'd like to send our deepest condolences to John's friends and family, and may he rest in peace. And now we've got the League 2 fixture of Leyton Orient versus Newport this evening, and I'm delighted to be joined here in the studio by Orient legend Jabo Ibrahim and Andrew Butler. And boys, it was a big clash on the 27th, our Boxing Day fixture, but it turned out to be a slightly boring one. Hopefully we can pick up our first 3 points after the Christmas.
I don't know what you're talking about, Ollie. It was an absolute classic from where I was watching. No, it was an affair that we kind of expected. It was always going to be a tight one. I kind of expected Stevenage to provide a little bit more threat. I think it's always a positive if you draw a game where you come off the pitch going, actually, do you know what, we should have won that game, because we were, for the most part, the better team on the day. And unfortunately, we just couldn't get it over the line. It obviously would have put us in such a fantastic position going into a game like tonight's. But yeah, aside from not being able to score another clean sheet, the 14th of the season for that back line, which is massive. But yeah, looking forward to this one instead. Hopefully there will be goals in this one.
Hopefully so, and it is Newport County, and they inflicted our first defeat of the season. And I think maybe some of the Orient players will be looking to get a bit of revenge.
Well, we just hope now at this stage of the season, it's just about getting the wins on the board and just keep notching it off till we get to the points total that we need to get promoted. So, I mean, there's going to be some reference to the game earlier on in the season, but I think it's just business time now, 10 wins from promotion. So it's just not ticking them off each game and putting those performances in.
And it is, of course, the last game of 2022. We're going to be looking back across the goals of the year, but what a year it has been, sitting where we are in the table. The way that the club turned its fortunes when Richie joined in the early parts of the year, and it'd be a great opportunity to finish the year on a high. It'd
be massive. I mean, the turnaround from since when Richie took over to now, it's phenomenal. And to be part of it and watching the games week in, week out and seeing how good this team's doing, it'd be nice and on the cake to finish the year on a high. But it's just, at the moment, just fantastic to be part of it and seeing it all.
It certainly is, and there's been a few changes for the O's this evening as they look to get their final 3 points of the calendar year. And let's take a look at how the O's are lining up against Newport County. So in goal, of course, is number 22, Lawrence Vigouroux. Keeping his spot is number 2, Tom James. Our first centre-back tonight is number 5, Dan Happy. Coming into the midfield this evening is number 8, Craig Clay. Keeping his spot out wide is number 11, Theo Archibald. And in that attacking midfield position is 14, George Moncur. Number 15, Idris El-Mazouni, also keeps his place with number 16, Aaron Drynan coming into the side. And Darren Pratley has dropped to the bench and he's rested, so it's number 19, Omar Beckles, who joins Dan Happy at centre-back and wears the armband. And with number 23, Charlie Kelman in there as well. And number 32, Rob Hunt completes the starting 11. And on the bench for the O's is Sam Sargent, Shadrach OG, Paul Smith, Jordan Brown, Jaden Wareham, Darren Pratley and Stephen Duke McKenna. So a handful of changes as the O's are looking to return to winning ways. And you'd imagine, Andrew, that this may be a case of resting. We've got another game coming up shortly after the new year, and they got a bit of a kicking on the 27th against Stevenage as well.
Yeah, absolutely. And a game like this, always makes you a little bit nervous because you want to play probably on paper your best team every single game and want them all to play all the minutes of every game. But at the same time, we have to accept that there are stages of the season where you have to rest certain players, you have to bring players in. The football nowadays is so much more about the squad than it's ever been. So seeing the likes of Craig Clay come in, Aaron Drinan come in, and Darren Prattley and Paul Smith having to move to the bench for this particular game, I'm sure we'll see them feature. But at the same time, Stevenage was a really tough game. They got exactly what we thought they were going to provide us, which was a stern physical test. And I'm sure, considering that game was only 3 days ago, there probably is a little bit of that going on, especially with the game that we've got coming up on Monday against Northampton, which will be another tough one. And
it may make it slightly trickier for Newport to try and know what to expect.
Yeah, I mean, they would have expected the consistent team that's been playing all the previous games and might have shaped up for, because I think they would try and counteract us rather than them go and play freely to try and just get the win. They would have tried to stop us and might have had done their sessions based around certain personnel, so it might throw them a little bit, but ultimately, we have to go and win and get that result. And Newport will be looking to, they haven't won in the last 2 games, so they're going to be looking to sort of, try and pick up their season. But yeah, hopefully the changes, the people that come in will do the business which they always have done, and we get that result.
I guess it is hard to predict because I can see on your notes, Andrew, you've got it down as a 4-2-3-1, but I was going to say you've got Drinan and Kelman on the pitch. They played in almost a strike partnership back against Sutton, I think it was, and it might be hard to predict.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down that route again because I was wrong that last time. It might be a 4-4-2, but then that would involve probably George Moncur going out to a right-hand side position, which I'm not entirely sure that he'll be doing. So it might be Aaron Drinan out on the right-hand side of a front 3 with Kelman in the middle and Theo on the left-hand side. That's probably, looking at the team, that's probably what I'd expect. Mm-hmm. But at the same time, I've been wrong even in recent weeks as well about formation. So I think what we have to do is really play our own game, not get overawed by the fact that yes, we lost to Newport this season, and that's only one of our 2 losses so far this campaign, and play our own game, because Newport they're a big team, they're a physical team. They just got into us and they rattled us actually when they played at Brisbane Road earlier this season. But really, Newport are nowhere near as good as us actually. Their league form suggests that, their league position suggests that. We just need to go out there and be professional and do the job this evening.
If it were to be a 4-4-2, then do you think that might be part of Richie's thinking, as Andrew says? It was that they managed to get under our skin. They were big and direct and hard to handle. Do you think maybe Richie's thinking of going a bit more direct and really taking the game to them on their home patch?
Possibly, or when a team sort of low blocks and tries to park the bus a bit, you need to sort of stretch the game and create some width, and maybe going 4-4-2, having people right on the touchline, create some space so you can get Monks in the gaps, in the spaces, to create the space to attack and open a tight defence, etc. So possibly, but I just do think that there's a thought in the mind of they're gonna try and stall us, they're gonna try and slow us up, but if we go and play our game and implement that, I think we'll be fine.
The Newport team will probably be in their dressing room looking at the starting 11 and saying a little prayer that Paul Smith isn't on the pitch, and we haven't spoken about it really because we've said players come in and do their job, but it's not a blow because he's obviously just been rested, but we don't have that magic on the pitch, and we'll come on to that magic shortly, but it might be missed. It might be missed,
but at the same time, Newport's real weakness so far this season is just conceding far too many goals, and actually what we've got there is still enough of an attacking threat with George Moncur hopefully providing more of an attacking threat, really taking the game to their back line. Aaron Drinan, Kelman, Theo, all in there. What we need to do is just get shots off. Joe Day in the Newport goal has only saved 63% of the shots that he's faced so far this season. To give you kind of an idea of where that stands, is second worst in the league. And Lawrence Figueroa, unsurprisingly, has the highest with 83% shot saving percentage. And so we just need to get shots off. Joe Day, considering those statistics, isn't actually, hasn't been in great shakes this season in terms of shot stopping. So if we can get some shots off, if we can get, in positions where we might even take, the speculative ones on, then, I think that's what we should be doing more of this evening.
well, hopefully we will be doing some of that this evening. Hopefully we'll be scoring some goals, and any goal scored would purely be putting the cherry on top of the cake. So let's take a look at our Goal of the Year competition that is running over on the Orient Live Twitter account. Strap in, there's some belters.
Wood just inside the Colchester United half. Good ball, looking for Matt Young, just ran away from the youngster. And it's George with a poor clearance to go straight to Coleman. Urged to shoot, he finds Saturio. Saturio trying to create the space for the shot, and he does! Yeah! And he scores! Would you believe it? Leyton Orient scored! And that's fantastic! He celebrates Will Saturio in front of over 900 travelling fans. They're glad they came! Looking for their team to hang on. Leyton Orient looking for the equaliser. It's Poggy, touched on by Harry Smith, touched on to Paul Smith, and Paul Smith's cross is cleared, only as far as Theo Archibald. It's a good... Oh, it's a wonderful goal! Theo Archibald saves it deep into stoppage time. That's absolutely vital for the O's. It's Leyton Orient 2, Stevenage 2. Wood does find Wood. Wood's glancing header to Saturio, wide on the left-hand side, and Saturio, who makes his way past the first defender, and the second finds Paul Smith, who turns, still with Smith in a central position, goes for goal. Oh! What a goal for Paul Smith! With 39 minutes go, and he double somersaults in celebration. A goal worthy of celebrating. It's Leyton Orient 1, Rochdale 1.
Look at who he would be like to replace. Possibly they might go to Khan at full-back and give him that little bit more attacking option on the right-hand side.
Wood tries to release Paul Smith. Paul Smith goes to the edge of the penalty area, gets in the cross. Is it? Oh, that's a spectacular goal from Paul Smith. It didn't seem possible, but it's again another amazing goal from Paul Smith. And each head is alight, and why not? That was special.
Did he block it with his hand? I'm not sure.
No, it's impossible to tell from our angle, wasn't it?
It was a difficult one.
And the assistant referee's angle probably wasn't much better than ours. As Archibald has sprung the offside trap, the goalkeeper out of the position, he's been blocked, and that's Leyton Orient's first goal of the afternoon. And it was a lovely taken goal from Theo Archibald. It's Crawley Town 0, Leyton Orient 1.
It's a beautiful finish, absolutely beautiful. So Theo Archibald sprung the offside trap, got behind the two centre halves.
And Happy's header looks for Pratley, and in the end it comes out to Tom James. Good chance! Oh, what a goal! What a goal from Tom James! Oh, that was special! A fantastic half volley, flew beyond the reach of the goalkeeper into the top corner, and Leyton Orient doubled the advantage. It's Leyton Orient 2, Grimsby Town 0.
That's an absolute stunner from Tom James's left boot. I don't think he could believe it. Understanding there or misunderstanding.
Happy finds Hunt on the left-hand side. It's a driven cross to Smith. Good shot. Great goal. Oh, Paul Smith has shattered the deadlock after 25 minutes, and the double somersaults. It's a wonderful goal, and Leyton Orient has shattered the deadlock. It's Doncaster Rovers 0, Leyton Orient 1.
Oh, that's quality once again from Paul Smith. From Ashley Spin, the skipper of Salford. That was on target from Il Mazzuni.
To open up. Smith on the left-hand side, gets into the penalty area, goes down, the referee's not giving it, Smith got up, is at all of his feet, still Smith, Leyton Orient shatters the deadlock, and it's another wonderful goal for Paul Smith, his 7th of the season, and that is so important. It is Leyton Orient 1, Salford City 0.
That is absolutely magic from Paul Smith Day. They had 3 nibbles at him, they couldn't get the ball off him. I know it's different circumstances. There might be some out there watching that goal back again who might compare that to Peter Kitchens against Chelsea. The way he jinked inside, dropped the shoulder. What a finish. That is some goal from Paul Smith yet again.
Wow. Well, Jabbo's jaw has hit the floor here in the studio. What a set of goals we've got there for you to vote on for the goal of 2022. And the vote is now live over on our Twitter at LOFC Live. And the voting will be open for the whole of the first half. And we will be announcing the winner at half time. So, of course, if you're watching along live on our YouTube channel preview, then today it is available to stream UK and international. So if you haven't yet done so, make sure you head over to the Orient website to pick up your streaming pass to watch along with us here on Orient Live. But that's out the way, and we've got to get our team into that because we're spoiled. We are truly spoiled, Andrew.
Well, look, I'll say this from the off. I challenge any team in the country to come up with a better goal of the year competition and compilation than that, because I cannot think of another team in the entirety of the English Football League that would have had any goals as good as that selection there. There is probably, for me, about 5 goals that would have won goal of the year in probably the last, 10, 15 years perhaps. And there is just some extraordinary goals on there. I've loved watching this compilation over and over again today. It's almost impossible to pick. But I know that's what we want. So my favourite one is Tom James's against Grimsby. I think the ability to do that with your so-called weaker foot, to hit a ball that cleanly, is incredible. We were here on that day itself, first game of the season, and I think we immediately turned to each other. I think we remember this, and it was like, that's the best goal. That's the best goal that I've ever seen here. I think a save from maybe Matt Lockwood's. Save from maybe Matt Lockwood's in the playoffs years and years ago. That's the best goal that I've ever seen here at Brisbane Road. It was an extraordinary strike. Of course, special mentions to all of Paul Smith's ones. I'd also actually like to add a special mention. I know this might be not on some people's lists of their top threes perhaps, but Theo Archibald's against Crawley for me is a really, really special goal. It's not so much the finish, that's a good technical finish, lofting it over a keeper who's too far off his line, but the touch and the ability for Lawrence to pick out Theo Archibald in that position, the touch to kill it dead, and then the presence of mind to lift it over the goalkeeper in that situation is unbelievable. So that's what I'm saying for now. But my mind might change after I hear what Jabbo says.
I was going to say we'll come on to the expert here, because Jabbo, you'd have loved to have some of those on your showreel at the end of your career.
Oh, Joker. Like Andrew was saying, I mean, the calibre of the goals, I mean, are just phenomenal, you know. And there's one man for me who's just stealing the show. And my favourite goal, I'll say it with my chest. Favourite goal is probably the one against Doncaster for me. His touch and Paul Smith's goal against Doncaster, it's just the touch. And, you know, it almost just froze in time. The ball comes in, it's the touch, and and the way he gets his body so high, the acrobats, the connection, and it's almost just a moment in time that touch has allowed him just to have that speed of thought. It was clever. I mean, sometimes with the Tom James goal, fantastic strike, but sometimes, you know, I've done it myself, you know. you catch the ball so sweetly, and not saying it's lucky or anything, but you can catch the ball so sweetly, and you just know the moment it leaves your foot, it's a goal. And then sometimes you just get moments where it's just brilliance. And for me, that goal there was just brilliant. Without that touch, the opportunity would never have been there. With the touch and the acrobat, it's a goal. Sometimes you can just catch it sweet, strike it. It flies somewhere and you go, oh, that was me. But for me, the skill in that goal just wins it for me.
If it's any consolation, you'll see this on my notes here in front of me, Ollie. That goal, Smith's against Doncaster, was second on my list. And it's been in my head all day. Tom James's, Paul Smith's, because actually the one against Barrow is also extraordinary. I mean, there's also 3 goals in there. Satirius against Colchester was an amazing moment because we had been on a really poor run of form and we needed that goal. Archibald against Stevenage as well, also a good one. Smith against Rochdale, also very, very good, but they're also like absolute long ranges. And I mean, Jabbo, anyone can score a long ranger like that, can't they?
Like everyone can chest it down, put someone to the floor, then smash it. You know what I mean? You know? Because look like the guy's eating grass and then whack. And sometimes, like I said, you do catch it sweetly, and then you do celebration like that. But I mean, no. But the skill set in Smith's goal, it just sets it apart from the others. Because sometimes you can catch it sweetly. But I scored a few more like that, so maybe it wasn't fluke.
It's funny because we couldn't find any of them.
It was a full YouTube, mate. There you won't see it.
Nicely shins. But I wanted to pick up on the ones you spoke about, because I think they maybe don't get enough credit as they should. It was under Matt Harrold's interim when he took over in the earlier parts of the year when the previous manager was sacked, and before Richie came in. And as you said, we looked like we weren't going to score again that season. We scored those 2 great goals. We've gone on to score the goals we've just watched as well. How important were they for where we are now? Oh,
it was fantastic. And when the person was needed to step up, he stepped up. And that goal, the skill set, again, he picked it up. He then, someone's come to challenge him. He's dubbed it, and the guys just went for a pies. He sat him on the floor, then struck the ball so sweetly into the top corner. And around the time what the team was going through in that moment, it really changed the season, and it's a catalyst for where we are today. So some goals are bigger than the moment, if that makes sense. So,
well, every goal we've watched so far tonight is up for the award of Goal of 2022, and of course you can vote for it over on our Twitter account, which is at LOFC Live, and the winner will be announced at halftime. But back to this evening's fixture with the O's facing Newport County, and let's take a look at how the home side are lining up this evening. So in goal for Newport is number 1 Joe Day. You have number 2 Cameron Norman, number 3 Declan Drysdale, number 6 Priestley Farquharson, number 9 Omar Bogle, number 10 Ofrande Zanzala, number 14 Aaron Lewis, 17 Scott Bennett, number 22 Nathan Mariah Welsh, number 27 Adam Lewis, and finally number 29 Mickey Demetriou. And on the bench for Newport is Sam Bowen, Robbie Wilmot, James Waite, Lewis Collins, Aaron Wildig, Will Evans and Nick Townsend. So that is how the home side will be lining up this evening, and they are under the lights, and they'll probably be looking at this as we say it a lot because it's often a bit of a free hit. It's the league leaders coming to town, and there's not too much pressure on them really.
No, but they will obviously be wanting to kind of stretch their gap away from the relegation spots as well. They're not by no means out of that situation currently, but at the same time Newport have had it's been a strange season for them. Their run of form leading into this game has been a draw, loss, win, win, loss, draw, win, and it's not exactly the form of excellent consistency. So coming into this game, they do keep a reasonably a tight ship and a reasonably consistent squad of players there together. Omar Bogle's come back in for them. He came off the bench for them on Monday, and he's been kind of he's their top scorer. He's been the most likely, the biggest threat as well. He's actually also got the most shots, joint most shots in the entirety of League Two, but most of them haven't actually gone on target. So it just suggests that he's a very confident player, someone that we need to be alert to. But it'll be an intriguing game just because their run of form coming into this game has been so patchy that you kind of really don't know. It's a flip of a coin about what Newport team will turn up tonight.
Well, the Newport team that turned up in the reverse fixture did turn up, and they did do a job on us, as we've said. And if you take a look at how they did manage to frustrate us, do you expect them to do similar tonight, Jabbo?
I think the times are different. I think they're gonna. It was under a different manager as well at the time, and reading what the new manager has said in his comments, pre-game comments, he said, that was then, and we have to do what we have to do now. And both teams are in a different place, and I do feel that they kind of have to come out and try and get a result themselves. I don't really expect them. They're going to play with some caution, but they need to try and get results. So I don't think they're going to just sit back and be entirely tight like they were here. And I think in this game, when we were on fire, we were unbeaten, and we were the team to beat, you get that respect where people really do sit in, and they make it hard to get the key players into spaces. They're really tight. They're winning the headers, the first to everything. But I think we have to play with some fluidity, with width, to create spaces for people to get into the pockets, to create some good chances. I think we'll do that better today, because I think they're going to be a little bit more expansive than they were in the first game. But like I said, we've just got a job to do. We've got to keep ticking off these victories to get to our ultimate goal. Yeah,
this selection of clips that we're seeing on screen, Ollie, is such a, it was so indicative of that game. I mean, these are just passages of play where, you know, they last for 30, 45 seconds each, and you can just see us like going, like trying all sorts of things, short passes, long passes, crosses into the box, and it was an extraordinarily frustrating game that day here earlier in the season, and we remember that how they kind of went ahead, and it was a penalty that we gave away, and they basically just got their noses in front. The two losses that we've had this season have been pretty much exactly in a very similar style of game. Newport frustrated us, Wimbledon frustrated us, and we just couldn't quite kind of. And then as soon as we've gone behind, they just go, right, you can attack us, but we're going to head everything away. And Newport are a kind of a team like that. 43% of their goals have come from set pieces. 43%, and we always talk about how few of our goals actually come from set pieces, but they play for the corners, they play for the free kicks, and it just means that they're the same attacking threat that they've got from their set pieces they have just in defence, and they just clear everything away, and then just go, all right, good luck next time.
And we didn't see them there, but the goals they did score against us, especially I think it was the first one, was it was poor to concede. We know how capable the Orient defence are, but we saw how they managed to really, from a set piece, make us panic a little bit, and we conceded off the back of it. And that's something you'd imagine Richie and his staff would have looked at a little bit.
Yeah, totally. I think I think we're even better now than we were then, and coming off the back of the Stevenage game when we had to be resolute, strong, and win plenty of headers, which we did at the weekend. I think we've prepared ourselves for today. So I can't see us sort of allowing them opportunities to get one on us from their set plays, but we have to be aware that that's going to be the key way for them to try and cause us any danger. But I think we're prepared for it, especially off the back of the last game we played against Stevenage.
Well, of course, it's an exciting night under the lights in Newport. It's certainly
it looks exciting.
Hopefully the game looks as exciting as the light show they've got on there. What way do you see this one going tonight, Andrew?
I can't see anything going at the moment. I think we've got enough, just about enough to get the victory. I think, considering the draw against Stevenage a few days ago, it's one of those things where you just don't want to allow a run just to extend to 2 draws, etc. Just get back on the horse and get 3 points. It's it's a strange old setup they've got down at Newport. Fair play. It looks quite exciting. It's
like a festival and a circus all rolled into one. So it is now time to pass over to our very capable match commentary team of Dave Victor and Matt Hiscock.
Welcome to South Wales. There'll always be a very special bond between the Exiles and the O's. It was, of course, Justin Edinburgh who led Newport County first to the FA Trophy, where they lost to York, and then a week later they were back again and they beat Wrexham to regain their status in the Football League. And of course, in April 2019, it was Justin Edinburgh who led Leyton Orient back into the Football League. And these two sides meet again for the second leg of the Justin Edinburgh derby, and it was Newport, the only side to win in the league in E10 back in October. There have been plenty of changes for the Exiles since then, with 21 days